Sitting down with us right now in the K-Post Roofing and Waterproofing hot seat, the defensive coordinator of America's team, Salisbury State University's Dan Quinn.
Right on, man. Good to be out here with you guys this morning.
You're the second person I can talk to about Maryland, with the first being Billy Ripken. So you're the only other one, and Matt Hicks from the Rangers. No one else knows what we're talking about. It's like people in Texas don't even know Maryland's a state. Do you ever go back there?
Still keep up with a number of good friends in that space. So, still keep up with school and some people from back there.
Okay. How nice was it to have Diggs back at practice? The big viral video clip from yesterday is Diggs cursing at Dak Prescott with the competitive juices flowing.
It is good, and he's been chomping at the bit to get back. He's really, throwing himself a good offseason, and so this was like our first chances to really get going and some team stuff. So, yeah, he's been chomping at the bit for the last few days to get in. He made a nice play down in the red zone on the ball, and it just does show his speed, his length, his competitiveness, and he doesn't say a lot, but he is a real competitor.
Diggs does not say a lot.
No, not in a setting, in the meeting room and that. He's more reserved, but onto the field, the switch definitely takes place.
Next, we know that he has the elite ball skills like a receiver. Next area of improvement that you've noticed him focusing on, or that you've noticed yourself, was in what area?
I would say really, like most things, when there's a space where you're, already hitting a lot of the marks and you're trying to get to the next stop. So for him, it's a stem of a route. It's, knowing a new technique. And so having a guy like Steph here has been, really good for Trey, so far this offseason. They already had a connection together prior to Steph joining the team. And so, you'll hear, those two look, say a word together, something that could, offset one another. And so having that type of connection and seeing that bond build as we're going has been cool to see.
What have you noticed from Gilmore out here? Bobby the other day was saying they don't seem to be throwing at him an awful lot. Yesterday we had J-Ron on. He goes, no, Gilmore still has it. Trust me. What has Stephon brought?
One, he's a great teammate to see. One of the very first things I noticed was him even talking to a receiver, about a route or a release. So he's not somebody that just, keeps all the information to himself. If there's something to share, whether it's on the defensive side of the ball, he will. And it's the same thing on the offensive side to say, hey, this is something I saw, when you're getting into your break, you're, dropping your weight, whatever it might have been. Like, he's that guy. And when you add people like he and Brandon Cooks already to a locker room that, has good energy, good juice, and now you add these other two pieces for it, they've really, both of them, as veteran players, have really fit in seamlessly here.
Does it make life easier for you when you have two really good corners, not to worry about one traveling?
Yeah, that's a good question. And sometimes you do on a matchup of a size or that, but it's not something that we've discussed where we're going to match one versus the other. Because you're right, as you get into this space, you can really lock in on playing your side. And I've definitely had experience doing that where we didn't match. Certainly during my times in Seattle, we did not. And it was, a lot for that reason to say, hey, we had, great confidence, trust to how we wanted to go get it on. And so that'll be likely the case here as well.
I know last off season, a lot of the discussion in terms of what you guys wanted to improve on both sides of the ball, there was a lot of discussion about physicality and toughness and things like that. And I know that you've said before physicality is one of the big markers you want on your defense. Is that something that physicality you think is a mindset that can be coached out of somebody, or is that something where you go, that's more of an innate trait that we have to identify and acquire?
Yeah, that's an awesome question. I think it's a little
better
bit of
than
both.
RJ's.
It is. But why I think it's important, because like any good defense or any good team, and you guys know this, you better have an identity. And when all of our friends and our family and people watch us play, excuse me, they better know exactly what it looks like. And that, should be a team that's, one that's ball hawking and tackling. And that's where some of that toughness comes, not just at the line of scrimmage, but the way and the attitude that you tackle. So I would say, yes, you can coach someone up maybe one level, to say he's a good competitor. And when you put him around great competitors, they can move up one. They probably won't go up 2 or 3 spots. So I'd say the reason I brought that up is I think that's also part when, you get a chance to acquire somebody to be on the team. You want to make sure, hey, do they fit the standards and the identity that we want to be about? Because if you don't, then you're kind of up and down as a group. But what the things that stand out to me, amongst this defense, and the fun part, we've had a few guys here been together for, going on to our third year together. That connection, that toughness, that competitiveness, it does go around the room. And so for the new guys coming in, these 9 rookies, and Steph as a new vet, trying to prove that, to say, yeah, I want in that group.
Is there a guy on the defense that you mentioned, those new guys coming in? Is there a guy on the defense that you'd like to point others to and say, like, hey, if you want to talk about the toughness trait and everything else, this is the guy here in our group that you need to look to and try and mirror what he does?
Yeah, in the back 7, I would say number 6. When you talk about Donovan, that is how he's featured, how he does. He's one of our best hitters, one of our best tacklers, and we put him into those spaces to do that. And so I'd say in the back 7, it's him. And on the inside, although we acquired him mid-year, I've seen, gotten to know him through the offseason, is Hankins. And he really plays in a really physical style. And so you see him going for it as he, when we re-signed him and entering into this offseason, into training camp. So, but for the back end, Dono definitely is the one that jumps out to me, first name.
Dan Quinn sitting down with us here on Shan and RJ 105 through the Fan. So all of us are just saying that Micah's wrecking practice. I had some Cowboy guys say, yeah, they just can't run the football. This guy's blowing everyone up. It's a daily highlight film. What has he added to his game in the offseason?
Well, I think this is probably a good analogy to use here, to say he was already really talented. Now he's getting even more skill, to match that. And so now you're seeing this jump that's taking place, to say, as a young guy coming in, he, is super gifted and had great explosiveness, but now his hand use is so much better. His knowledge of what to see is getting better. And so that's the thing that has jumped out to me, is just adding the skill work, at the line of scrimmage, especially with his hands, to be really used as weapons. He has really made a big jump in that area, and I think as the season progresses, people will certainly see that.
Was there any indication that he could be an edge coming out of college? Like, was there any indication that he was that good?
Yeah, there was, because they blitzed him a lot, and so sometimes it was from the outside, sometimes it was internally, but I think it was because of the initial quickness. Now, yeah, I don't think we would say we didn't see the evidence that it would be like it is now. But what we did see is this guy would be a real pressure player. We'd bring him off the edge. We'd blitz him a lot because he had those traits to do that. So he took that and then elevated it up again. But it's the beating somebody to the punch. That's where he can really get on you. When he's getting off the ball or blitzing, he can just get on you so quickly. That's what, you can feel that stress, as the blocker.
Yeah, not necessarily just related to your personnel, but more, I guess, kind of a philosophical question. What is the way that offensive coordinators right now are schematically challenging you guys the most?
Well, that's a good question. I think it's kind of custom by the team. There's some teams that are really true to their system and how they want to run it and execute it, and you certainly see that. And then there's other teams that, okay, this might have been a play that they liked. This might have been a play that another team had done. This might have been another team that had done. That happens in our league, too, to say, okay, that other team did it where they attacked them and it worked, and we're going to try that play, too. So I think by the team, that's where their strengths are. What does their identity look like? Usually it starts there, too, to say, this is who we are, this is how we play. So most of the time it's not some drastic change, that takes place. But based on the team's personnel, I think that it's kind of custom by the week.
What is it like going up against Mike calling plays in practice?
Yeah, I thought Mozzie had such a great line the other day when somebody was talking about Zach being out of practice. And he had said, no, I'm not that guy. He said about, not having to go against him. And so he said, he's actually the person that I probably need to go against the most. So for me, whether it's, CD and Gilmore or Trey or, when you get to go compete against people, what happens? Usually sharpen each other up and you get stronger and you get better. And so that's been, my experience of going against Mike. He's sharp, he's on it, he calls it quick. So that's been his history. So you better be ready to get it going fast.
We've been trying to relay to the listeners the Brandon Cook speed factor out here. We'll just be sitting here at practice and we're like, well,
yes.
Yeah. Can you relay that for us?
I can, yes. Because
I saw him the other day get behind both safeties.
Yeah, he got behind a corner in the offseason, and okay, that happened to him once. It happened the second time. I said, all right, why don't we review the scouting report on Brandon Cooks right now? Tell me what you know. And the young cat said, that's a lot of speed.
Right.
And I said, okay, so let's know how we're going to match up. And he's not just straight fast. He's also quick. And so he can get in and out of breaks quickly. So he's quick and he's fast. And so some guys have one where you got really good long speed, and a lot of times that's the bigger player who's, got great stride, extension, and length. And there's other guys who are, you traditionally might see as a slot and can move in and out. But one of the things about Brandon that's jumped out to me, he's got terrific long speed, but he's also quick in and out of his breaks.
We've been talking amongst ourselves. It kind of feels like make or break for Kelvin Joseph and Shan, right? And we've noticed Wright making some plays out here. Is that an accurate observation? And where are those guys in their development?
Yeah, I'm proud of both of them for this offseason that they've thrown to make sure like they've really put the work in to say, hey, I want to show where I can get better, and I want to prove that. And that's usually some of the best moments, when you really bust your ass to go prove it, to say, hey, I want to go do this. And so that was great to see. I think Nashawn had an interception maybe the second day. And, we're also proud because I needed that. And it was just that moment to say, like, yeah, I'm in here too. And then Kelvin, we've played him at two positions, and he's really handled that challenge well to be inside and outside. He's such a strong guy that we thought, hey, this is a person that could be in the slot and certainly handle some stuff well. So we've been working Kelvin and Bland both outside, inside, and we're certainly pleased with the development of those two.
Is there another player that we really haven't touched on too much or isn't getting headlines that has impressed you so far in the offseason or here at camp?
Yeah, that's a good question, because a lot of the people
Finally,
that we do talk about are, I would say two that you talk about them, but I think I'd like to talk about them is Malik Hooker and Leighton Vander Esch. And although their games were at a good level, I really felt like they went up again. And it started with their training of how they went after the offseason. Both of them are a little leaner, but I just feel their speed, their communication on the field. And so when you're already a good player, leveling up to the next one didn't always that easy. But I see those two taking that spot. And so those would have been two for me that really jump out.
Last one for you, Coach, and it's on the other side of the ball. But CD had told us that this is going to be more so Dak's offense. We're turning it over to him. What does that mean? Or what have you seen in terms of he seems to be even more vocal as a leader out here? Some Dak differences that you've noticed?
He's certainly one of the very best leaders, that I've been around as a player, through all my times in the NFL. He's got that kind of it factor around him. So it doesn't surprise me to hear him embracing things in such a head-on way, because that's really who he is as a man and what he stands for. It's also nice to see that connection with him and the other guys being so strong, like a guy like for him and CD to say they put so much work together, a look, a hand signal, something that's so subtle that say, yeah, we're going to make one little adjustment here. And that's what the best of the best are doing. And Dak is certainly that guy, who's not just a leader on offense, but he's a leader, amongst our team.
Coach, thank you so much. Appreciate you every single year. You're infectious with the personality. Micah and the guys clearly love you. And here's to another fantastic season. And thanks for being the big off-season edition return again for the second year in a row. Thank you.
I couldn't be more pumped, man. There's so many cool things ahead for this team. So I definitely want to be a part of it. So, all right, kick ass. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, sir.
Go.